Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Love Against the Throne. Episode 13. Gemma's POV. I wish I could go with you, I whined while sitting on our bed as he was getting dressed. Cassius had to leave to take care of a pack that was trafficking omegas and rogues. I was to stay put in the palace for my safety. For 2 weeks rogue attacks had increased. They seemed to know whenever I left the palace and targeted me wherever I went. So I have been confined to the palace grounds until we could get the rogue problems under control. It was starting to drive me nuts, especially since I couldn't shift anymore. Cassius looked down at me while wearing only a pair of black slacks. He sighed as he knelt and took my face in his big hands. He leaned his head against my forehead as his blue eyes looked into mine. I know you want to go. But you know why you have to stay. I nodded as he placed a soft kiss on my lips. I know. It doesn't make it any easier. I trust you to take care of things here in the office. He smiled as he kissed me again. Gemma at the helm. I laughed lightly. I'll try not to start any wars. He threw his head back and laughed. Oh goddess, I'll miss you, my beautiful queen. He wrapped his arms around me and we kissed again, only deeper and more sensual. He pulled away from me and I inhaled and gasped. Cass. I don't think I can go 3 days without your lips on mine. Me neither, love. But we have to. He sighed and placed his hand on my belly. A tiny bump had formed in the last few days. It still wasn't enough for others to see. But he already loved laying with his cheek on my stomach, trying to hear the twins. He stroked lightly as he kissed my soft skin. Be good for your mama, little ones. He stood up and walked into the closet. I followed him in as he was buttoning up a blue dress shirt. I helped him with a blue and gold striped tie. Then he put on a black jacket and I followed him out of our room hand in hand. I'll walk with you down to the limo, I said as we waited by the elevators. The palace was quiet as we emerged from the elevator. It was about 2 hours before breakfast, but Cassius and the warriors needed to leave early. As we walked towards the door, we saw Deke with his mate Audrey kissing and hugging each other. The beta waved as we walked by. Outside there were several SUVs filled with about 5 warriors each waiting to leave. The limo was parked in front of the door with Bruce leaning against it. Cassius pulled me into his arms and our lips met again. My body tingled from the sparks the connection made. I love you so much, Gemma Fury. He purred. I love you too, Cassius. Please be careful. He laughed and placed a finger under my chin. It's everyone else that has to be careful. He kissed me once more as Deke walked by. Ready to go, Cass? The beta asked as Cassius growled. In a second, Deke, Cassius responded as he tightened his hold on me. We held the kiss a little longer before he pulled away from me, leaving me breathless. He walked towards the limo as Bruce opened the door. Deke slid in first and then Cassius slid in and waved to me as Bruce closed the door. I felt tears welling up in my eyes as the limo and the other vehicles began to drive away. I stood watching until the motorcade faded from sight. I took a deep breath and turned to walk into the palace. Deke's mate Audrey had also been watching. I looked at her. They will be all right. She smiled. I know. It's just hard to watch them leave, especially with she placed her hand on her belly. She was a couple of weeks ahead of me in her pregnancy. I know the feeling, Audrey. I patted her arm as we walked back into the palace. I wasn't sure what to do and decided to go back to my room to sleep a little longer. Well, I think I am going to get a couple more hours of sleep. She sighed, that sounds like a very good idea. It seems I can never get enough sleep these days. I laughed. Yep, I know the feeling. I'll see you later at breakfast, I said while waving to her. Once I reached my room I flopped onto my bed and was asleep almost immediately. I awoke a couple of hours later feeling nauseous. I did my usual routine of running to the bathroom to vomit. I missed having Cassius behind me stroking my back and it made me tear up as I retched. He was only going to be gone 3 days at the most. So why was I so upset? Because it's hard to be away from our mates. Leonora offered in my head. I know he'll be all right. But I can't help missing him and worrying. I said to my wolf. She whimpered, I know Gemma. I feel the same about Enoch. Sighing I stood up from the floor and walked over to the sink to rinse my mouth. I then took a lonely shower and got dressed in black sweatpants and a black tank top. I wanted to train before tackling office stuff this morning. Then I headed to my son's room to get him up and ready for the day. Ian and Jeremy were due to arrive today for Alpha/Beta training. That would make my son happy to see his father. I opened the door and saw my son sprawled on his bed whimpering as his little body twitched. I rushed over to him and gently touched his arm and his little eyes flew open. Mommy! He cried and leaped into my arms as I sat on the bed. He then sobbed as I stroked his back. Oh Nikki, were you having a bad dream? I held my pup tight as he shook. Daddy died. He mumbled. I rocked him. No, Daddy didn't die. No, in my dream. Daddy died. He buried his face in my chest. It's all right, baby. It was a bad dream. Okay, your daddy is just fine. I promise. I did my best to soothe my baby. In fact, he and Uncle Ian will be here later to see you. His blue eyes looked up at me with a grin on his precious face. Daddy. Yes, baby. He clapped his little hands and crawled off of my lap and ran over to his drawers and opened them. I followed him and helped him pick out clothes for the day. I took him into the bathroom and bathed and clothed him. Once I was done combing his blonde hair, he clasped my hand and pulled me towards the door. Come on, Mommy. I have to see Daddy. Hold on, Nikki. You won't see Daddy till later. His little smile dropped and a frown formed on his face. I stroked his cheek and picked him up. I promise you will see your daddy today. Okay. But first, we have to get breakfast and then you'll go to pup care. I carried him out of his room and towards the elevators. He leaned his head against my chest. Okay, Mommy, he sighed. Terry and Izzy were standing there and smiled as I walked up to them. Morning, lovebirds, I said to them. How are you doing this morning, dear? Izzy asked as she placed a hand on Nikki's back. Not as sick as yesterday. But a little sad that Cassius is gone. She smiled at me. It's hard in the beginning for your mate to leave. But trust me, a few years from now, you'll be happy to see him leave. Hey! Terry joined in. Were you happy to see me leave? Izzy nodded. Yes. I needed time to myself. She smirked at me. I think it's harder on the males than it is on us. I laughed lightly as we walked onto the elevator. Maybe. The doors opened and I set Nicky on the ground and he trotted a little bit ahead of us. Will you be okay on your own today? Terry asked me. I promised Cassius not to start any wars. My father-in-law laughed. Oh Gemma, you crack me up. But I think you will be fine. We entered the dining room and everyone stood up as we entered. Izzy and Terry took their seats and I looked longingly at Cassius's empty spot as I looked down the table. Good morning everyone, I said in my first solo speech. The king is away on royal business, so you are stuck with me today. There were a few laughs. Let's make it a good day. So let's eat. I smiled and sat down as the Omegas brought out breakfast. It was French toast with bacon and eggs this morning. I helped Nicky butter and cut up his food before diving into mine. Gemma, I can help you in the office today if you wish. Maria said from down the table. Thank you, Maria. I was going to do some training before tackling the office. She laughed. I can help with that too. How come you didn't get to go along with the boys? I have to prepare the dungeons for the arrival of prisoners. I sent my number 2 along with them. Deke and Ward are there too, so they will be fine. She explained. I know, I said in between bites of food. Nicky giggled as Angela walked into the room with Nikolai. Good morning Angela, Nico. My friend smiled at me. Morning. We finished breakfast and I took Nicky to pup care and then headed out to the training field. Maria was already waiting for me as I approached her. Silently we warmed up and ran our laps before squaring up. She was quick to start and I stood there defending myself from her blows. We continued in a fast dance of blow after blow. Both almost equal in the bruises we received from each other. A small crowd formed around us but we ignored them. Maria was good about keeping the blows above my waist. I managed to get the best of her and flipped her onto her back. She smirked up at me as a familiar scent hit me. I helped her to her feet and looked up to a familiar face. Jeremy. I smiled at him as he stepped towards me. Gemma. Or should I say Your Majesty, he flashed one of his famous smiles. I walked over to him and hugged him. I swear I felt him getting hard as I hugged him. I pulled away from him and looked into his blue eyes that looked exactly like our son's eyes. You can still call me Gemma, Germ, I replied to him. It's good to see you, Gem. You look great. I was happy to hear him use my old nickname. So do you, I said as I looked past him hoping to see my brother. Ian was having a rough time since his mate had rejected him. My father said he had mostly just been training and working. I worried about him. Did Ian arrive with you? I was feeling thirsty so I started to walk towards the bleachers where we kept a cooler of water. Yeah, but he was starved and went to get food, Jeremy replied as I chugged down some water. So, how is Nick doing? He is doing great, I started as I set the bottle of water down. He made a bunch of friends at pup care. He is just a bundle of happiness. But he misses you. I told him about our son. Ah, my boy. Can I see him? Jeremy asked. I laughed. Of course. You can see our son anytime, Germ. I have classes this afternoon, but maybe we can have dinner together, Jeremy suggested. Of course. Cassius is away on royal business, so we can hang out tonight, I told him with a smile. That seemed to make him happy. He is okay with you hanging out with me. Yet, he understands it's for the sake of Nikki. We are just friends, right? I said to him. He seemed to cringe when I said that to him. Yet, we are friends and parents that need to work together for our child. He replied. Good, come to the palace around 5 and we'll have dinner and hang out with Nikki. It's a date. I narrowed my eyes at him. Between friends, he quickly added. I patted his arm. Well, I have to go take a shower and then go do some work in the office. I'll let the ladies at Pup Care know that you are allowed to pick up Nikki anytime you want. Thank you, Gemma, I appreciate that. He held his arms open to me. Can I have another hug? Of course, Germ, I said as he wrapped his arms around me. He seemed reluctant to let me go. So I pulled away first. Bye, Germ, I said as I started to walk away. I waved back at him. After showering and getting dressed in office attire, I walked into the office. It seemed daunting to be here alone for the first time without Cassius. Are you ready? I jumped when someone spoke behind me. It was just Maria. I nodded at the Delta. Thank you again, Maria. I know you have your work to do. She shrugged. I have people to take care of it if I need them to. I walked over to the desk and sat in Cassius's large chair. I patted my chair for Maria to sit and I turned on some Wolfsbane and we got to work. Sorry, is the music all right? She nodded. Hell, yeah. I love Wolfsbane. A couple of hours later we had finished up the emails and letters. We were now on video calls with various alphas. I know you are frustrated, Alpha, I said to an older alpha on a call. His pack had been attacked several times by rogues and his warriors were getting tired. They were a smaller territory on the edge of the kingdom. I can have some of our warriors sent to your pack. He sighed. Where is the king? I want to speak to the king, he demanded. The king is not here, I'm afraid. So you are stuck with me? I wanted to snarl at him. This is a matter I should be discussing with him. My word is as good as his, Alpha. I narrowed my eyes at him. Now, either take my offer of warriors or not. It's up to you. Or you can wait for the king to return. He growled at me. I don't like being lectured to by a pup. He spat out. I snorted, well, this pup as you call me is your queen and I outrank you. The king will hear of this. Well, yeah. This conversation is being recorded and he doesn't like it when alphas disrespect me. He stiffened as his eyes widened. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I'm under a lot of stress. I glanced at Maria who was sitting just off camera. She rolled her eyes. He's sorry because he knows he's been caught on camera. I tried not to snicker and turned my attention back to the alpha. Apology accepted. Now, do you want me to send warriors to your pack? He nodded, yes, Queen Gemma. Good, they will arrive in the morning, I said as I cut off the call. I leaned back in the chair and sighed heavily. It would help if these asswipes took me seriously. Maria snorted. Give it time, she assured me. It took a bit for them to take Cassius serious after his father stepped down. Keep putting them in their place and they'll come around. My stomach rumbled with hunger. Let's go get lunch and then you can go do your duties. She sighed. If you want. We stood up and walked out of the office towards the dining room. After lunch, I dug into the office work alone. I jumped slightly when my phone vibrated on the desk. I smiled as it was a message from Cassius. I opened it and shook my head as he had sent me a asterisk pic. Really a pic? I texted him. Yes. Now send me a tit pic. He replied. Perv. I texted back and then unbuttoned my shirt and took a picture of my asterisk and sent it to him. He texted me heart-eyed smiley faces back. Now if you are a good boy I'll flash images of myself later tonight. I laughed at the next string of nearly incoherent texts. I love you, he ended his texts. Love you too. I set my phone down and finished with the office stuff. It was nearly 4 in the afternoon. I needed to go get Nikki so we could have dinner with Jeremy and my brother. I had invited Ian because I missed him. I turned off the computer and headed out of the office. After picking up Nikki from pup care I went back to my room and changed into something more casual and then took Nikki downstairs to meet up with Jeremy and Ian. Exiting the elevator I saw the guys standing down the hall talking to each other. I set Nikki down and pointed to Jeremy. There's Daddy. Nikki squealed and took off like a rocket towards his father. Daddy! Daddy! He shouted and Jeremy turned towards us and smiled. He scooped up our son in his arms and hugged him. Hey, buddy! How are you? I looked at my brother. His blue eyes seemed to be staring into nothing. I hugged him. Hey Ian! How are you? He held me tight and sighed. I'm still here, sis. His tone was sad and it made me sad. And I am glad you are still here, Ian, I said to him. We pulled apart and looked each other in the eye for a second. Anyways, I had the kitchen make some ribs for dinner. That sounds amazing, Jem, Jeremy said beside us. He had Nikki on his hip. And chicky nuggets for Nikki of course. I tickled my son's tummy and he giggled. Shall we? I beckoned them into the smaller dining room. We all took our seats as the Omegas brought in dinner. We have a beer if you guys want it. I am stuck drinking Sprite. I laughed. We all dug into the food. Jeremy and I did most of the talking as Ian sat quietly. I tried to get my depressed twin to talk more. How is Leopold doing? I asked Leonora. He is still very sad about the loss of his pup and mate. What can we do to cheer them up? I asked. She sighed. Just be there for them. So, what do you guys want to do tonight? Bowling. My son interjected with a mouthful of chicky nuggets. We all laughed, even Ian. What do you guys say? We can bowl for a bit with Nikki then go upstairs and watch movies. That sounds like fun, Jem. Jeremy agreed while Ian just shrugged sadly. I patted my brother's arm. It will be fun, Ian. Uncle Ian, what did the cow say to the duck? Nikki looked at my brother. Ian looked at his nephew with a partial smile. No, what did the cow say? Moo. Nicky laughed his response, which made a slight chuckle come from my brother. And what do ducks say? Ian asked Nicky. Quack quack. Nicky flapped his little arms as his uncle laughed a little more. And wolves go aroo-oo, Ian howled, and my son joined in. I smiled watching my son and brother. Jeremy leaned towards me. It's about time someone got him to smile. I glanced back at him. I have been worried about him. We all have, Jeremy mumbled as Nicky and Ian were laughing and making animal sounds. Good thing our son has a knack for bringing out the best in people. He does, doesn't he, Jeremy? I looked at my friend whose eyes were sparkling at me. He was looking me up and down with lust in his eyes. I had to take a deep breath and pull away. I stood up. Are you guys ready for bowling? Ian had Nicky in his arms. Sure, let's go. He set Nicky down. I'll race you to the game room, Nick. My son smiled at his uncle and then ran out of the room like a rocket. I laughed as my brother ran after him. Come on, Germ. I beckoned my friend and we walked to the game room side by side as I listened to Nicky giggle as Ian had picked him up and was carrying him upside down to the game room. Nicky's giggles echoed through the hall as my brother carried him to the game room. I walked beside Jeremy in silence. I caught my old friend catching glances at me. I wasn't sure how it was making me feel. I felt like he was trying to say something but was hesitating. So, Jeremy, how is life? I randomly asked him. He shrugged. Same old, same old. Really? Nothing new to report? No, not really, Jem. He replied as we entered the game room. There were warriors and omegas playing pool and video games. They all looked up as I entered with Jeremy. Don't stop your fun on account of me, I said to them all. Pretend I'm not here. I laughed nervously as I walked through the large room. Ian and Nicky were already at the two-lane bowling alley. That has to get old, Jeremy mumbled. What? Everyone bowing or stopping what they are doing just because you walk into a room. I sighed. Being an alpha's daughter, I am somewhat used to it. Since back home everyone would stop what they were doing whenever one of my parents walked into a room. I guess. We walked over to Ian and Nicky. I'm going to be on Uncle Ian's team, my son declared. I don't want to be stuck on a team with Mommy, Jeremy said to Nicky. I punched his arm and glared at him. What's wrong with me? Jeremy and Ian snorted. Come on, Gemma. You were never good at bowling. My brother looked at Jeremy. Right, Germ? Yep. I rolled my eyes and picked up a purple bowling ball and launched it down the lane. It immediately went into the gutter. Okay, maybe you are both right. They both laughed as we began our game. I was impressed by how well Nicky did. I, on the other hand, was lucky to knock anything down. Geez, it's a good thing kingdoms aren't won on bowling games, Jeremy cringed as I got yet another gutter ball. I sat beside him. Shut up, Germ, I mumbled. My body was beginning to feel tired and I lulled my head back against the seat. Are you getting tired, sis? My brother asked and I nodded. Yeah. Carrying twin Royal Alpha pups takes a lot out of me, I replied to Ian. Jeremy scoffed as he stood up to take his turn. I leaned towards Ian. What was that about? He shrugged. Hell if I know. Jeremy sat beside me again as it was Nicky's turn. "Come on Nick, get a strike," he encouraged our pup. "He is really good at this game." "He is good at everything he does," I added. Ian snorted. "You are both biased because he is your kid." I looked at Jeremy. "Are we biased?" "Nah," he smirked at me and we lingered looking each other in the eyes. We missed our son jumping happily after he got a strike. "Mommy, Daddy, I got a strike!" he yipped happily. Shaking my head, I broke out of the trance with Jeremy and smiled at my son. I clapped my hands. "That's great Nicky." I held up my hand for him. He high-fived me and then did the same with Ian and Jeremy. "I guess it's my turn now." Nicky climbed onto Jeremy's lap as I stood up. I picked up the purple ball and rolled it down the lane. It went right into the gutter. The guys all laughed at me as I shrugged. "You guys should see me play pool." "Mommy, you aren't very good." I looked at my son. "Thank you, Nicholas." I picked up the ball again and rolled it down the lane and it managed to hit 2 pins. "Yay! I hit 2. Jeremy scoffed. "We are so losing." 30 minutes later we finished the game and of course, Ian and Nicky had won. "So, another game? Or do we play something else?" I asked them despite feeling tired. Nicky pointed towards the arcade. "I want to play the car game." Jeremy scooped him up and carried him towards the arcade games. I laughed as I sat down again. A couple of warriors approached and bowed. "Can we bowl now, Your Majesty?" I nodded, "Yes. Just don't mind me sitting here for a minute." They laughed. "Can we get you something?" one of them asked. "No," I mumbled as one of them sat a seat down from me. I eyed him as he was lustfully looking at me. My brother was standing nearby and growled at the warrior. "Ian, no need for that." He sat beside me and glared at the warrior. "Keep staring at my sister like that and I'll rip your eyes out." The warrior growled at my brother and turned away. I patted Ian's arm. "Ian, it's all right." I stood up from the seats and walked towards where Jeremy and Nicky were. Nicky was on his father's lap playing a racing game. Jeremy was working the pedals while Nicky steered. He kept crashing into things. "Oof, Nicky," I said as I leaned against the game. Jeremy looked up at me and smiled. I returned the smile. My son just laughed every time he crashed into something. "You are silly Nicky." After the game was over, Nicky played a couple more with Jeremy before he started getting cranky and tired. "I think it's time for bed, Nicky." "No." He whined loudly at me. He pouted and looked at Jeremy. "Daddy, I agree with your mom. It's time for bed." Nicky stomped his little foot and started crying, eliciting annoyed stares from the others in the room. "I'm not going to bed!" he yelled and ran from us. "Nicholas Philip Warner, get back here," I called after him. Nicky kept running around crying. Jeremy growled and caught him. "Okay, buddy. Let's go." "Hey Gemma, I guess I'll be heading to bed now." "I'll see you in the morning," my brother said to me. I gave him a quick hug. "Good night Ian." I looked at Jeremy who was struggling with our tantrum-throwing son. "You can come help me put him to bed, Germ." "Are you sure about that?" Jeremy said as Nikki was now almost screaming in his arms. Yeah, I replied as I glared at my son. Nicholas, stop screaming, Jeremy growled lowly at our pup. Let's go, then. He sounded annoyed. Nicky quieted a little as he rubbed his little eyes. I'm not tired. He whimpered. We walked out of the room towards the elevators. Jeremy had a tight hold on our pup as he kept crying. Wow, elevators, fancy. I rolled my eyes, yet. I folded my arms as the door opened and we walked onto the elevator. Once on the top floor, we walked into Nicky's room and Jeremy whistled. Wow, Nick! This is a big fun room, hey! Jeremy said to our now quiet pup. He set Nicky down and he ran over to the TV. I want to watch Cars. I shook my head. No, it's time for bed. My son let out a loud whimper and folded his arms. I glanced at Jeremy who was looking around the room. Nick, let's get you ready for bed, Jeremy said as he walked over and picked up Nicky. Our pup loudly protested in his dad's arms. I pointed to the bathroom and followed Jeremy in. He managed to get Nicky undressed and into the bathtub. Our 3-year-old eventually calmed down and was happily playing with his boats as I washed his hair. Once done, he dressed him in his pajamas and carried him to his bed. Jeremy sat on one side of the bed while I stood over him. What story do you want to hear? Nicky picked the same one he always picks. I sat on the bed and opened the book. Jeremy and I read the book together 3 times before Nicky's little eyes began to close. I leaned down and kissed his forehead and stood up. I yawned loudly as I was exhausted and still wanted to call Cassius. Jeremy followed me out of the room and we stood in the hallway. Thank you for helping, Germ. I patted his arm. Well, he is my son too. So it wasn't helping, it was parenting. I nodded. You are very right. Anyways, I am going to bed now. Can you find your way out? He nodded and leaned towards me as I stared into his blue eyes. He brushed the hair from my face and placed it behind my ear. I backed up slightly as he was leaning in towards my lips. I placed a hand on his chest. Stop! A low growl rolled from his chest as he blinked. Sorry, I was caught up in the moment. There was no moment, Jeremy. I placed my hand on the door to my room. Good night, I said quickly and then slipped quickly into my room. I closed the door and leaned against it. My heart raced as I suddenly felt conflicted. I knew I still have feelings for Jeremy. But they were buried deep in my heart and the closeness only brought them to the surface. But I knew I would never act on them. I jumped as there was a knock on the door. I opened it to Jeremy. What? I just want to apologize for making you uncomfortable. He smiled slightly. It's all right, Jeremy. We have history and sometimes it's hard to suppress. I replied to him. I know. You are still so beautiful, Gemma, and he trailed off and looked away from me. Anyways, good night, Gemma. Thank you for tonight. I missed Nick. Anytime, Germ. I placed my hand on his shoulder and squeezed it. We looked into each other's eyes as he hugged me. I felt secure in his arms and pulled back to look him in the eyes, and before I knew it his lips were on mine and I felt pain in my chest. Jeremy, I said as I struggled from his hold. I pushed him back. Sorry, so sorry. He stepped away from me as his eyes flashed between blue and black. Just go, I whispered as I closed the door again and locked it. I walked quickly into my bathroom and leaned against the counter and took a few deep breaths. Gemma, Cassius's voice in my head made me jump. Love, is everything all right? I sighed loudly and was hesitant about what to tell him. I knew he probably felt it when Jeremy kissed me. Just tell him the truth, Leonora added. But he will be heartbroken, I replied to my wolf. Gemma. Cassius's voice sounded urgent and I knew I needed to answer. I'm all right, Cass, I replied to him. I am just really tired from a long day. There was a moment of silence as I stripped off my clothes to take a quick shower. I'm about to take a shower. Show me, his voice purred in delight. As I showered I flashed images of my body as I washed myself. I heard both Cassius and Enoch growling happily. You like that big boy? I linked him as an image of his asterisk flashed through my mind. That's a hard yes. I finished my shower and dried myself off. I grabbed one of Cassius's big t-shirts from the closet, deciding to wear that to bed as it had his scent all over it. How was your day, love? He asked as I crawled into bed. I sprawled out in the middle. It was long. But good. I replied as my eyes were already closed. Cass, I can barely keep my eyes open. Okay love. Sleep well, I love you and miss you. He responded. I'll be home soon. I love you too, Cassius. Please be careful. I said to him as I fell into a dreamless sleep. Without Cassius, I found myself unable to sleep soundly. I ended up curled up on his side of the bed with his pillow to try and help. But I just laid on my back trying not to cry. The morning light was beginning to shine through the windows and I got up and walked to the balcony and walked out. I sat on the lounger and watched the sunrise. The birds waking up and the soft breeze lulled me to sleep, and before long I awoke suddenly and felt my usual morning nausea. After dealing with that and my morning routine, I dressed in a blue skirt with a white shirt and blue jacket. I then went across the hall to get Nicky up and ready for the day. My pup was already up and playing with his cars when I walked in. Good morning, Nicky. I greeted him. He waved to me. Ready to get dressed and go to breakfast. Okay, Mommy. I got him dressed and took him downstairs to the dining hall. Everyone stood up as we walked in. I held him on my hip as I greeted those in the hall. Good morning, everyone. It's just another day. Let's make the most of it. I set Nicky on his chair and then sat in mine as the Omegas brought out breakfast. It was omelets with toast this morning. After breakfast, I took Nicky to pup care and then walked to the office. I was trying to keep my mind off of what happened between Jeremy and me as I got to work. Maria joined me for a few hours to help. We jammed to heavy metal and the work seemed to melt away. Gemma, my brother's voice sounded in my head. Yes, Ian. I answered him. Jeremy wants to know if you want to have lunch with him and Nick. I pinched the bridge of my nose and thought. Can you be there, Ian? I asked him. I didn't feel like being alone with Jeremy right now. I guess I was going to hang with some of the other guys, he explained. At the dorm cafeteria. I asked him. Yeah. Tell Jeremy I'll meet you guys there with Nikki. There was a pause. Did something happen with Jeremy last night? No, I answered quickly with a lie. I didn't want my brother involved. Okay. He responded a second later. See you later. I sighed and saw Maria staring at me. What? I asked the Delta. You seem off this morning. I had trouble sleeping last night, it wasn't a total lie. I did have trouble sleeping. The Delta remained silent as I typed out an email while moving my head to Slayer. Yeah, I have trouble sleeping when I am away from Angela, she said after a minute. I wore one of his shirts and slept on his side of the bed and everything. Just didn't help. I did manage to fall asleep on the balcony. After taking a few calls, it was finally lunchtime and my stomach was rumbling with hunger. I rubbed my belly. Okay pups. I'm getting lunch now. I walked into pup care and the ladies looked at me with slight confusion. Hello, Your Majesty. Did Nick forget something? Barb asked me. My eyes narrowed at her. What? I am here to pick him up. Barb looked at Grace and then back at me. His father just picked him up a few minutes ago. A low growl rumbled out of my chest. How come I wasn't told? You said he was allowed to pick up Nick anytime and he said you already knew, Barb explained with a hint of nervousness. Thank you, Barb, I mumbled as I walked out of the building. I looked around before I remembered I could mind link. Jeremy. Jeremy, where are you? Getting lunch with Nick. How come you didn't tell me you were taking him? You said I could pick him up any time. He is my son, Gemma. I blew out a frustrated breath and growled. I know Jeremy. Where are you? We are in the little park on Palace grounds. I got enough food for all of us. I sighed. I had wanted to stay close to Ian. But I figured in a public place there wouldn't be a problem. Ian, I'm going to the park to eat lunch with Jeremy. Have fun with your friends. I linked my brother. Okay, Gemma. My brother's voice sounded hesitant. You sound upset. I'm pregnant, Ian. My emotions are all over the place. I snapped at him. All right, he said before cutting off the link. I walked quickly to the park and heard my son giggling. He was running around the playground chasing another pup. I spied Jeremy nearby at a picnic table setting out food. I walked over to him and folded my arms. He looked up and shrugged. Sorry I didn't tell you my plans. I just wanted us to spend some time as a family. I sighed. Jeremy, we aren't a family. Gemma, we share a child and we have known each other our whole lives. That makes us family. He held out his hands. Eat. I got us some big sandwiches and chips. I sat down at the table and he had gotten my favorite ham and roast beef sandwich with extra onions and extra pickles. You remembered? Of course. He smiled sweetly. I am going to go catch our pup. Be right back. He jogged over to the playground while calling to Nikki. I bit into my sandwich and looked around to see my personal guards surrounding the table. I smiled at Sam. Is everything all right, Sam? I asked the leader. He flicked his eyes towards me. Of course, Your Majesty. Just keeping an eye on things while you are outside. he replied. Nikki ran over to the table with Jeremy close behind. I gave Nikki a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a banana. He ate happily as Jeremy ate a turkey sandwich. Jeremy looked around us. What's with the goon squad? My guard had been increased to 10 warriors including Sam. I shrugged. They are my personal guard. I was used to them that it no longer bothered me. What, they don't trust you outside by yourself? He said with an edge of anger. Don't worry about it, Jeremy, I said as I popped a chip into my mouth. I sipped some lemonade and checked to make sure my son was eating. So, how is Alpha/Beta training going with Ian? Jeremy was still glaring at my guards. It's all right, I guess. It's sitting in a classroom hearing someone else dictate how I am supposed to do my job. It's supposed to help build unity between packs, I stated. I think it's a waste of time, he scoffed. My dad has been teaching me everything I should need. And it's in my blood to be a beta. He glanced at our son. I wish it was in Nick's blood. He sounded bitter. You should be happy that Ian declared Nikki his heir. Jeremy snorted, yeah I should, but it's a male thing. We want our pups to follow us. Not their uncles. Maybe you and Esther will have a son and that one can follow you, I said as Jeremy stiffened and his expression darkened. I doubt that, he nearly growled, making Nikki jump. What's wrong, Daddy? Jeremy touched Nikki's arm and his expression softened. Nothing, buddy. Eat your lunch. His eyes flicked to mine. We ate in silence until we were all full. I patted my belly and burped. OOP, excuse me. Nikki let out a burp of his own and giggled. Excuse me. Ready to go back to pup care? I asked him. We can't hang out some more, Jem? Jeremy asked. I shook my head. No, I have more office stuff to catch up on and you have classes. Can't that stuff wait? Jeremy, I am the queen. It's my job. I wish Cassius was here to help, but it falls on me. I explained as he rolled his eyes. Why isn't he here to do it? I stood up from the table and began gathering the trash and discarding it nearby in a receptacle. Jeremy, why are you arguing with me about this? Cassius has his duties as king and I have my duties as queen. We can maybe hang out later or something if I am not too tired. I clasped Nikki's little hand. Come on, baby. Jeremy got up and followed us. We reached pup care and I leaned down to hug Nikki. You be a good pup, Nikki. All right. Okay, mommy, he smiled and waved at Jeremy. Bye, daddy. Jeremy ruffled his hair. See you later, buddy. Nikki giggled and ran into the playroom and joined his friends. I stood for a moment watching him before walking out of the building. Jeremy was close behind me. I'll see you later, Jeremy. He kept following me and I tried to ignore it. What do you want, Jeremy? I asked him as we entered the palace. I am just walking with my best friend, he grinned at me. Sighing, I continued towards the office. I needed Cassius. I could mind link him, but I needed to handle this on my own. I was Gemma Mackenzie after all. I didn't take offense from anyone. I stopped at the door to the office. Okay, I'm here. Bye. Jeremy leaned in towards me and grabbed my arm. Tell me, Gemma. Tell me you feel something between us. He said against my ear. My body shivered from the close contact. I do feel something, Jeremy. But not what you are hoping I feel. I love you, Gemma. He blurted out. I have always loved you. My heart started to race as he traced the back of his hand down my cheek. Jeremy. Stop. I mumbled. What about Esther? He snarled. Esther? I rejected that cold stupid. I gasped at his declaration. Why? Because she is not the one I am meant to be with. You are the one I am meant to be with. You always have. I placed my hand on his chest in an attempt to push him backward. Well, I am with Cassius. Only because you have to be. Not because you want to be. Jeremy pushed against my hand and boxed me between his arms. I looked around the hall and we were alone. Of course. I want to be. I struggled to free myself. Jeremy ran his hand down my cheek again. Come on, Gemma. I heard you crying the day you left home. You didn't want to be here. You didn't want him. He leaned in and hovered above my lips. Jeremy, stop. I tried pushing him away. I love Cassius. He growled as his eyes turned black. How can you love the man that forced you to give up your son? He pulled away from me. His fists balled up. Do you remember how I had to pry Nick off of you? Do you? Or have you forgotten? Our son was traumatized. It took me days to get him calm, Gemma. I felt tears threatening to fall as he spoke. The day I was forced to leave surfacing in my memories. For days I had nightmares about it as I heard my son screaming for me and I was unable to get to him. See, you are crying about it. It still affects you. I would never do anything like that to you. I sniffled and looked away from him. Cassius and I have worked through it. All right. You need to get over the fact that I moved on from you. You left me. You went with Esther. I never wanted Esther, Gemma. Jeremy practically yelled. My father forced me to accept her. All right? I hate that. I was a little shocked to hear what he said. He and Esther had seemed to be in love. But you guys seemed happy. No. She wouldn't even have been with me. The last 2 years have been misery. But now I am free from her. So I can be with you. We can go away together, Gemma. Take Nick and travel the world. Jeremy, you are deluded. I am not going to leave Cassius. I am pregnant with his pups. We can wait till you give birth. Come on, Gemma. He pressed his body against mine, pinning me to the door. No, Jeremy. It's not happening. I couldn't reject Cassius even if I wanted to. And I am not leaving him. I love Cassius. He snarled loudly and crashed his lips against mine. I felt pain in my chest as he attempted to push his tongue into my mouth. Sam. I mind-linked my guard. Sam, I need you. I called out. With a growl, I managed to get my hands on Jeremy's chest and pushed him off of me with all of my strength. He stumbled backward just as Sam and 2 other guards ran towards us. Jeremy tried lunging for me and was grabbed by Sam and the other 2. Gemma. He shouted to me. Tears fell down my cheeks as I watched him struggle with the guards. Escort him back to the dorms, please, I ordered the guards. You don't want him in the dungeons? Sam asked. No, Sam. Do as I say. I looked back at Jeremy. He was snarling and growling as the guards escorted him away. I didn't know what else I was going to do. I should have had Jeremy locked up. But I couldn't do that to my son. Walking into the office, I slumped into Cassius's chair and began to sob. My phone began to ring and I jumped. It was Cassius. Gemma. His frantic voice made me relax slightly. What is wrong? I am feeling all kinds of emotions from you, and he trailed off. I knew he felt the kiss. Enoch is going nuts. Leonora, please try to calm Enoch. I told my wolf. I am trying, Gemma. He felt that kiss. Did you tell him I didn't want it? Again, I am trying. My wolf snarled. I'm sorry, Leonora. Keep trying. I'll talk to Cassius. I took a deep breath. I needed to tell my mate the truth. Jeremy kissed me. I blurted out as Cassius let out a loud growl. He what? He bellowed. Cassius, please. Calm down. I didn't want the kiss. He forced me. I sobbed into the phone as I heard things breaking in the background. Cass, please don't wreck whatever packhouse you are in. I'm sorry, Gemma. It just enrages me to hear another male kissed my mate. He roared. I want him arrested and shackled in the dungeons. No. Please, I begged. Gemma. I just had him escorted back to the dorms. That's not good enough. An enraged Cassius growled. He needs to be punished. Can you stop? It was just a misunderstanding. I left out the part about Jeremy wanting me to go away with him. I can't have him locked up. I can't do that to Nikki. I heard Cassius take a deep breath. Gemma. I won't be alone with him anymore. All right? I have to figure out what I am going to do about this so Nikki doesn't get hurt. Please let me handle this. I sniffled. All right, but you better have your guards or Ian around if you have to talk to him. I can do that, Cass. I promise. I love you. He sighed, I love you too. He sounded much calmer. I will be home tomorrow. I miss you so much, baby. I can't sleep without you. A low chuckle came out of him. Neither can I, love. How are my pups doing? They are good, I replied to him. I have to go, now. Please be careful. I will, Cass. Bye. I said and hung up the phone. I sighed and put my head in my hands. I sensed someone walking towards me and looked up to see Maria standing in front of the desk. So, what do you want me to do about nothing? I replied to her. A male who wasn't your mate forced you to kiss him and you want me to do nothing about it. She sat down in front of the desk. Maria, he is my son's father. She shrugged. That's no excuse, Gemma. Tears fell down my cheeks again. I know. But what can I do? Have him watched for now. I nodded. All right. I'll also ask my brother to keep a close eye on him. That's a start. Maria, what am I going to do? He wanted me to go away with him. Take Nikki and just leave. I leaned back in the chair that smelled like Cassius. What am I going to tell Nikki? This is a tough situation to be in. You don't want to hurt your son. I understand. But Mr. Warner needs to learn his place. He can't be assaulting the Queen without consequences. Maria explained. I know you two have history. But that's just it. History. He rejected his mate for me. Again, that doesn't make a difference. You need to put that history aside. He could have hurt you, Gemma. Hurt your pups. Her tone was serious. You have to think like a queen right now. Put aside your feelings and act. My shoulders slumped. Cassius wants him punished. That can be arranged. Maria. I glared at her. The Delta sighed. Look, for now, the supervision should be fine. If you choose to be around him, don't do so alone. Okay, that works for now. Should we still have dinner tonight? Maria shrugged. I wouldn't, but maybe if your brother is there, it should be fine. I nodded. I'll do that. After we finished our work, I left the office. I had asked Maria to pick up Nikki when she picked up Nico to watch him. I needed to speak with Jeremy. Ian, where are you? I linked my brother. Playing video games with my friends. Why? I need to talk to Jeremy and I want you to help me. I explained to my brother. Okay, Gemma. I'm here for you. Thank you, Ian. I had Sam and one of my guards accompany me to the dorms. Ian was standing out in front as I approached. Where is Jeremy? He is in the game room. Okay, take me there. My brother leads us into the dorm and the small game room. Jeremy was playing a game on his phone while sitting at a table. He glared at the guards and then looked at me. Jeremy, we need to talk, I told him as I took a seat at the table. Ian sat beside me. We can't talk without your goon squad. I shook my head. No, we can't. I sighed and looked into the eyes of my former lover. Look, Jeremy. I know you have delusions about us. And I do still have feelings for you. But they aren't romantic. I care about you. But I only see you as my friend and the father of my son. Nothing else. Jeremy gripped his phone and glared at me. You keep telling yourself that. Ian growled at him. I placed a hand on my brother's arm. We can't be alone anymore. And the only time we will be together is for our son's sake. Cassius wants you locked up in the dungeon, but I won't do that to Nikki. Cassius, 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 Jeremy snarled as his eyes turned black. Yes, Jeremy. Cassius. He is my mate. My soulmate. I'm sorry it didn't work for you and Esther. But I truly love Cassius. I am having his pups. He is my everything and I am his. You need to move on. Jeremy stood up and knocked over the table. Ian took a protective stance in front of me as my guards flanked me. I will never get over you, Gemma. Jeremy yelled. You will be mine. No matter what I have to do. He roared before running out of the room. Sam, keep a detail on him, please, I said to my guard. Yes, Your Majesty. I looked at my brother and then collapsed into his arms and sobbed. He just held me tight. Ian, can you stay with me tonight? Yes, Gemma. We can order dinner and watch movies. I just don't want to be alone tonight. I'll be right at your side, sis. Like always. My brother smiled softly at me. Come on. I'll take you to your room. We have to stop and get Nikki first. He is with the Delta and her mate. I explained to him. We went back to the palace and picked up Nikki. Then I called Cassius while Ian and Nikki sat on the couch arguing about what to watch. I sat beside them. What do you guys want for dinner? Chicky nuggets, Nikki stated. Okay. I was going to just let my son have his favorite tonight. Ian? I can have the kitchen make anything you want. He shrugged. Just a burger would be fine. Your usual. I smiled at him. He nodded and I called the kitchen and ordered our food. Nikki laid on Ian's chest as we watched Cars 2. Our food came and we ate and laughed. When I felt tired I crawled into bed. I decided to let Nikki sleep with me in the bed while Ian slept on the couch. I found myself able to sleep better with my son and twin nearby. My heart hurt over the situation with Jeremy. Things with him would never be the same and I honestly questioned if it was safe to allow Nikki around him. I needed to call my father and Jeremy's father. Tears fell down my cheeks as I fell asleep. Jeremy's POV: I ran out of the dorm and into the woods. I couldn't shift because Rex was still angry that I had rejected Esther and he had retreated far into my mind. Instead, I just let my anger carry me deep into the trees. I knew I was being followed. I didn't give a offense. I just needed to get away. Gemma's rejection of me was hurting. Even though we weren't mates, I felt it. I knew she had to feel it too. Why was she being so stubborn in her feelings? I stopped at the top of a cliff and roared my frustration. My voice echoed through the trees. I wished I could shift so I could just go far away while I made a plan. Gemma was mine. No matter what she said. She was mine. I heard a twig break and looked to see two of the palace guards behind me. What do you want? I snarled at them. The Queen ordered us to follow you. One of them responded. I rolled my eyes at him. Well, I don't need to be followed. We can't disobey the Queen's orders, sir. The guard explained. I looked over the cliff. Tempted to jump, but I thought better of it. I wasn't going to leave my son without a father. Nick still needed me. Soon I would have his mother and we could be a real family. I turned towards the guards and took off running past them. I just let my feet carry me away. I knew they were still following me. One was in wolf form. I turned towards no man's land. I needed to just leave the kingdom for a bit. Once over the border, the guards quit following me. I laughed at them and headed to a bar. I was sweaty and gross but needed a drink. Luckily I had some money in my wallet. I walked into a bar I knew was full of rogues. Their fetid stench permeated the place. They all glared at me as I walked in. No doubt sensing I was a beta. I just wanted a drink. I bellied up to the bar. The bartender snarled at me. Hey, I just want a drink. I'm not here to start trouble. I said to him. I held up my wallet. I have money. Whatever. The burly bartender walked up to me and I told him to give me a beer. I chugged it while listening to music. Someone sat beside me and I recognized the witch that had been with Lord Felix that day I had been kidnapped by his men. She ordered a beer and chugged it. Then she looked at me. Having trouble winning over her heart. My eyes flicked to her. How did you know? A soft snort came from her. I have my ways. She set a vial on the counter. Lord Felix is getting impatient. It's only been 2 days. He gave me a week. She shrugged and slid the vial towards me. He wants the queen gone. Then he can implement his plan. What is that? I asked as I eyed the vial. Wolfsbane, of course. Mixed with some other poisons that will kill her unborn pups. I stiffened at what she said. I hated the idea of poisoning Gemma. I don't want to kill Gemma. It won't kill her. The wolfsbane will weaken her and the other stuff will just abort those royal whelps in her belly. Lord Felix doesn't care how you do it. But he needs you to do it. I picked up the vial and pocketed it. Tell the Lord I will get it done. I finished my beer and ordered another one. You better get it done. I want to be queen. She smirked. A witch for a queen. I had to stifle a scoff. You? I thought he had a mate. He does. She gave him a son. But she is not queen material. The witch explained. Oh, I finished my second beer and put some money on the counter. I got her drinks too, I said to the bartender. The witch smiled, thank you. Don't mention it, I smirked at her before I left the bar. I ignored the stares and growls from the rogues. I took off running towards the royal territory. I hoped the guards didn't mistake me for a rogue now that I smelled like one. I heard howls as I went past the border. A couple of guards stopped me. I held up my hands. I am not a rogue. One grabbed me and shoved me against a tree. State your purpose. My name is Jeremy Warner, future beta of Zephyr Moon Pack. The guard growled. You are the one that attacked the queen. Attacked? No. It was a misunderstanding. The guard that held me looked at his partner. I just want to go back to the dorm and get some sleep. Please. There was silence as they were mind-linking someone. Delta Maria says you may enter and go straight to the dorm. Nowhere else. I nodded and gave a mock salute her. Sir? Yes sir. They let me go and I took off running towards the dorms. Once I reached it I went straight to my room. I didn't see Ian anywhere but I didn't care. No doubt he would lecture me on the situation with his sister. I showered to get the stench of rogues off of me and then lied in my bed. I set the vial the witch gave me on the table beside my bed. I had to make a plan on how I was going to give it to Gemma. I love you, Gemma. We will be together soon. I attempted to mind-link her only to come against a wall. I heard my wolf growl at me. She has a mate. We have a mate. I rolled my eyes. Go to sleep, mutt. I blocked him and rolled over on my bed and went to sleep. I awoke suddenly to my brother's loud snoring and my son's whimpering. Sitting up on my bed I looked around my room. Nicky was sprawled out on Cassius's side of the bed whimpering like he was having another bad dream. I touched his little arm and he seemed to quiet down. I looked over towards the couch and saw my brother's arm draped over as I heard him snoring again. Standing up from the bed, I felt the usual wave of nausea. I ran into the bathroom to take care of it and to begin my morning routine. When I was showered, I wrapped myself in my soft purple robe and walked out of the bathroom. Nicky was sitting on the bed awake. I smiled at him. "Morning, Nicky. Are you all right?" He nodded his head. I heard a yawn and Ian was sitting up on the couch. He looked towards the clock sitting on the table beside the bed. "Oh, I'm late for your training." He shot up from the couch. "Sorry, Gemma, I have to go." I walked towards him. "I'm sorry, it's my fault you are late. You needed me last night. Hopefully, that excuse will fly with the trainers." He smiled at me. "What about Jeremy?" He sighed. "I'll keep an eye on him." I walked over and hugged my brother. "Thank you, Ian. I'll shoot an excuse note over to the trainers so you don't get into too much trouble." He kissed the top of my head. "Thanks, sis. Love ya." He released me and waved at Nicky, then ran out of the room. I turned on the TV to cartoons. "Nicky, I have to get dressed. You stay here and watch your cartoons, all right?" My pup hopped off the bed and ran over to the couch. I went into the closet to get dressed for the day. I decided to wear a dress since Cassius was coming home today and I wanted to surprise him. After getting myself and Nicky dressed, we headed downstairs for breakfast. Nicky and I walked into the dining room and I smiled as everyone stood up. "Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a good night. The king shall return to us today. So, let's have a good day." I sat down and the Omegas began to bring out breakfast. I had them make Nicky's favorite chocolate chip waffles while I had some simple bacon and eggs with toast. "Are you doing all right, dear?" Izzy asked me. I glanced at my mother-in-law and nodded. "I am fine." "Are you sure after what happened last night with Jeremy?" Nicky looked up as soon as she said Jeremy's name. "Daddy, can we not discuss what happened in front of Nicky?" I said quietly to Izzy. She nodded and I turned to my pup. "What about Daddy, sweetie? Can we see him today?" I took in a sharp breath. "We'll see about that, baby." I wasn't sure what I was going to do about Jeremy. It was clear I could not be around him alone. Part of me wondered if I should even let Nicky be around him. As much as it pained me to keep my son from his father, I felt it may be best for now. "Hey, Gemma." My friend and Maria's mate Angela greeted me as she walked into the dining room with her pup Nico. My son and Nico smiled and waved at each other. "Morning, Angela." She greeted Maria and sat down. We talked a little bit before it was time to go to work. Angela volunteered to take Nicky to pup care for me. "Thank you, Angela," I said to her. As soon as she and the pups disappeared, I looked at the Delta. Should I maybe have warriors stationed outside pup care? The Delta lifted an eyebrow at me. "Do you fear that your son's father may cause problems?" My motherly instinct is kicking in, telling me to send extra protection. "Then you should listen to it, Gemma." Maria placed a hand on my arm. "Send a couple of your guards to watch over the building." I was relieved to have the Delta's wisdom. "Thank you, Maria." Are you coming to the office? I have some of my own work to catch up on if you don't mind. And we are receiving the rest of the prisoners from that pack today. Oh okay, go do that. I think I will be all right. I smiled at her. She returned the smile. If you need anything, just call. Okay. I nodded and we bumped fists as she walked away from me. Sam, I mind-linked my guard. Meet me in my office, please. Yes, Your Majesty. He replied. I entered the office and sat behind the desk and turned on the computer. A moment later there was a knock on the door. Come in. My guard Sam walked in and bowed to me. Good morning, Sam. I smiled at him. His face remained blank as usual though there was a slight sparkle in his brown eyes. Is it possible to have a couple of guards stationed around the pup care building? Is this to do with the situation you had with your pup's father? I nodded. Yeah, I just have a bad feeling that something bad is going to happen today and I need the peace of mind that my pup will be safe. He finally cracked a slight smile of assurance for me. I will have 4 of my men stationed in and around the building, Your Majesty. Oh thank you, Sam. I wanted to hug the guard but thought better of it. He bowed and then left the office. I turned on some Metallica and got to work. Hey Ian, I mind-linked my brother. What's up, sis? He responded a second later. How are things with Jeremy? There was a moment of silence that made my heart race. He is acting as if nothing happened. Ian finally responded. Sorry, it took me so long to respond. I am in class. Oh no, I'm sorry. I won't keep you long. Just keep me informed on Jeremy please. I will sis. I cut off the link and got back to work till lunchtime. I decided to go check on Nikki. Standing up I headed out of the office and towards pup care. Gemma, I heard Cassius's deep voice in my head. How is my queen doing today? I am doing all right, my king. I replied to him. I am heading off to lunch. I am having lunch myself before getting on the road to come home to you, he purred in my head. My heart swelled. I am looking forward to your return my king. I said to him as I reached the pup care building. 2 of my guards were standing at the entrance. They bowed to me as I walked in. Sam was inside watching over the playing pups in the playroom. Hello, Barb, I said as the caregiver stood at the front desk. She looked at Sam and then at me. Sorry, about the extra security. No, it's all right Your Majesty. Are you here to pick up Nick? I nodded. Yes, I smiled at her. I looked into the playroom and Nicky was sitting on the floor with Nico and his other friends. Nicky, I called to my son. He looked up at me and smiled. Gemma, my brother's voice came through the mind link. Jeremy wants to have lunch with you and Nicky. I sighed loudly. Did he say why? He says he wants to apologize for last night. But I don't trust him. Will you be there with us? Of course, sis. My brother responded. Okay. We can eat on one of the picnic tables outside the dorm cafeteria, all right. Okay, Gems. I walked over to Nicky. Do you want to go to lunch now, Nicky? He shrugged. I want to play with Nico and Henry. Daddy will be there with us. He smiled up at me and stood up. Okay, Mommy. I grabbed his little hand. You can play with Nico and Henry later. Alright. I lead him out of pup care. I nodded to Sam. Sam, stay close. We are going to lunch with my son's father. He sighed and then nodded at me. Yes, Your Majesty. We walked towards the dorms. My brother was waiting outside with Jeremy. I let Nicky go so he could run over to his father. Hey buddy, Jeremy sounded normal this morning as he scooped up our son. I exchanged a look with my brother. Jeremy's expression darkened when he noticed Sam and the other guards. Do we need to goon squad to eat lunch? Yes, I replied quickly. Jeremy huffed and rolled his eyes. Are you really that scared of me? It's bad enough Ian has been babysitting me all day. He glared at my brother. I don't know Jeremy. Why would I need all of this extra security? Might have something to do with what happened last night. Jeremy growled and Nicky covered his ears. Are you guys fighting? My son asked with a sad voice. I sighed. No baby. I patted his back. Let's just go eat lunch, I said looking Jeremy in the eyes. Lunch and nothing else. Lunch, Jeremy repeated through narrowed eyes. We walked into the dorm cafeteria and got some sandwiches and other food, then took them outside to a picnic table. Nicky sat beside Jeremy while I sat next to Ian. We all ate in tense silence. Daddy, can we play games tonight? Nicky asked Jeremy. Jeremy glanced at me. I don't know about that, buddy. Ask your mother. I hated how he had put me on the spot. We can play games, Nicky. Cassius will be home tonight. I smiled at my son, eliciting a low growl from Jeremy. Is that a problem, Jeremy? No, Gemma. He hissed quietly. Anyways, we can all play in the game room tonight, Nicky. You, me, Daddy, Uncle Ian, and Cassius. My son clapped his little hands. Yay! Can we bowl again? Sure, Nicky. Is that all right with you guys? I asked. Sounds good to me. I miss having Cass around, Ian said with a mouthful of roast beef sandwich. Jeremy glared at me. I could sense the anger brewing within him. It sounds good to me too, he said through gritted teeth. One big happy family, he mumbled. We quickly finished lunch and I stood up. Well, I have to get Nicky back to pup care, and then it's back to the office for more fun. Gemma, can I speak with you alone? Jeremy asked me. I looked at Ian, who took a deep breath. Why? Please, Gemma. I just want to talk, Jeremy pleaded with me. Ian stood up. We have classes to get to, Jeremy, he told the other male. And Gemma has work to do. He was close to using his alpha tone. Jeremy scoffed. You aren't alpha yet, Ian. He stood up and looked into my eyes. Please, Gemma. We will talk later, Jeremy. Okay. His eyes narrowed at me. Fine. He growled out. I clasped Nicky's hand. Say bye to Daddy and Uncle Ian, I told my pup. Bye Daddy, bye Uncle Ian. He waved to them and I lead him back to pup care. I dropped him off and had Sam and the guards remain around the building while I walked back to the palace. Gemma, my brother mind-linked me. Jeremy took off after lunch. We don't know where he is. He seemed pretty miffed. My heart began to race. Okay, Ian. It will be okay. I'll send warriors out to look for him. I replied to my brother. Maria, I need you. I mind-linked the Delta. Come meet me in the office, please. Is everything all right? She asked. Just meet me in the office. I said as I walked towards the office. Sam, can you bring my son to the office, please? I mind-linked my guard as I ordered a squad of warriors to look for Jeremy. Yes, Your Majesty, Sam replied. I entered the office and looked around. My heart was racing as I wondered what Jeremy was up to. The bad feeling I had earlier was growing. I yelped loudly as someone knocked on the door. I opened it to Maria. The Delta looked me over. What is going on, Gemma? Jeremy is missing and I have a bad feeling. She grabbed my shoulders. I'll send warriors to look for him. Already done, and I have Sam bringing Nikki here. I sat in a heap on one of the leather couches. I placed my hand on my belly. I was beginning to feel fatigued from my heightened agitation. There was another knock on the door and Mara answered it. Sam walked in with Nikki followed by Ian. Nikki ran over to me and hopped onto the couch. Mommy, he sounded scared. I patted his back as my brother sat on the couch. Jeremy's stuff is gone from the dorm, Ian announced. I sighed heavily. The situation was getting worse. I needed Cassius. I should have locked him up, I mumbled, hoping my son didn't hear it. Mommy, Nikki looked up at me. Rex says Daddy is angry. My son mentioned Jeremy's wolf. Our wolves were able to communicate with our parents' wolves for life. Did Rex say anything else? Like where Daddy is? Nikki shook his little head. Why is Daddy so angry? I wasn't sure what to tell my son. He has things he needs to work out, Nikki. I looked at my brother. Can you stay close? He shrugged. I guess. It's no use doing alpha/beta classes without my beta. I laughed lightly. You guys can watch TV. I pointed to a large screen TV hanging on the wall of the office. It was rarely used, but it did have satellite and all of the streaming services. I grabbed some paper and pens from the desk and set them down on the coffee table between the couches. Here, Nikki, you can draw while you watch TV with Uncle Ian. I went and sat behind the desk. I picked up my phone and called Cassius. Hey love, his deep voice soothed me. How far away are you? I blurted out with tears forming in my eyes. About 2 hours away. Why? What's going on? I can sense your agitation. Taking a deep breath, I decided he needed to know what was going on. Jeremy disappeared from training. Took his stuff and everything. I have a feeling that something bad is about to happen. There was a deep growl on the other end of the phone. I will kill him. Cass. He took a deep breath. Do you have anyone looking for him? Yes, I have warriors out looking for him. Where are you? I am in the office with Maria, Ian, and Nikki. I heard him take a deep breath. It will be all right, Love. Just hang tight in the office. Okay. Okay, Cass. I love you. I love you too, Gemma. He responded. I hung up the phone and set it on the desk. I turned my attention to the computer and figured getting lost in work. An hour and a half later I felt the need to use the restroom. Nikki was asleep on the couch next to Ian. My brother was watching a movie. Hey, Ian. I'll be right back, I said to my brother. He turned to me. Do you need me to come with you? I just need to pee. He made a face to my response. You. I'll be okay, Ian. I stood up from the desk and walked out of the office. Maria had gone back to the dungeon to check on the arriving prisoners. I looked up and down the hall and guards were stationed throughout. So I should have been okay with going to the bathroom. I walked into the large bathroom and sensed I wasn't alone. In a flash, I was slammed against the wall. I looked into Jeremy's black eyes. Jeremy! I screamed. I tried to scream again but he covered my mouth with his hand and held me to the wall with his body. My arms were pinned behind my body. I tried to do this the easy way, Gemma. He said to me in a deep threatening voice. You belong to me. He pulled out a syringe with some green-looking liquid in it. But you are forcing me to do things the hard way. I struggled against him as he tightened the grip around my mouth. I tried screaming but was muffled by his hand. Cassius! I screamed through the mind link. Leonora was growling in my head as she tried pushing her way forward. Tell your wolf to back off or I'll make this hurt more, Jeremy growled. He held up the syringe. This is just some wolfsbane. If you come with me quietly then I won't have to use all of it. Be a good girl and just come with me. You, me, and Nick will go far away from here and have a good life. Tears fell down my cheeks as he spoke. I struggled to get at least one arm free from behind my back. Leonora, I need you. I felt a surge in strength as I head-butted Jeremy, causing him to stumble backward. I screamed as I tried to run out of the bathroom. I grabbed the door but Jeremy grabbed my arm and pinned it behind me. I tried punching him with the other arm but he pinned me to the wall. Then I felt something sharp in my neck. You forced me to do this, Gemma. He growled. I felt his tongue lick my cheek. At once my body felt numb as the wolfsbane worked itself into my system. Then there was a burning sensation I couldn't identify. With a bit of strength, I managed to punch him as everything was going black. He stumbled back. Gemma! Cassius called in my head. Where are you? That bathroom. I replied as Jeremy slammed me against the wall again. His face was inches from mine. Please, I don't want to hurt you, Gemma. I love you. He kissed my lips and my chest hurt as the burning sensation spread through my body. Gemma, we've been injected with poison, Leonora said to me suddenly. I have to protect the pups. Jeremy's lips were still on mine as my vision dimmed. I vaguely heard the door to the bathroom slam open and Jeremy was ripped from me and flew into the opposite wall. I slid to the floor as Cassius stood in front of me. Guards filed into the bathroom. Arrest him! Cassius bellowed to the guard. Jeremy growled and snarled as the guards picked him up. Gemma is mine! He shouted as my vision began to fade in and out. I let out a scream as pain from the poison coursed through my body. I vaguely registered Cassius picking me up. The pain was coming from my uterus. My fear for my pups was piqued. The pups, I mumbled as Cassius ran out of the bathroom. Poison, I mumbled again as everything became dark around me. Hold on, Gemma, Cassius said to me. I screamed again as the pain increased. I looked into Cassius's concerned blue eyes one more time before I succumbed to the darkness. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.